Time for another episode of Elite Squeezing the Surfs, whether you like it or not. And here's our little picture of little Ozzy Gonzalez when he was a little baby Nino, and he was a nice guy. And then he turned into an elite. Not that one. Oh, there. Then he turned into this guy, an elite. Anyway, we're not here for Ozzy. We're here for Ozzy's little board meeting. All right, let's continue. Almost done. Maybe I can make it done. Maybe I can finish this shit show.
Complex than I think even the public understands in terms of what the cost structures are.
She's still thinking, she's still trying to peddle her fiscal cliff. When anybody who's, I went through their budget, by the way. I went through every fucking page of the budget. I mean, I went through every page of their stupid budget, and I didn't see any mention of the fiscal cliff. I didn't get to the end yet, but I almost did. So we'll look at this at the end. But well, that's loading.
Who pays and what it takes to actually make this agency work. I know I've been enlightened.
She's just peddling bullshit. It's just lying to your face, folks. Just lying in her Klaus Schwab outfit.
And so some of this is each of us have had the opportunity to become enlightened over time, and some of you don't have the benefit of the years of enlightenment that I've had on the...
Yeah, and you have no enlightenment, as in zero. You've been terrible, just like Warner. You've been a smokescreen for the executive team, just like all the other board presidents have been. You're just part of that crew. All right. Well, let me. I've got hundreds of pages of this. Now, you would think in the overview here. I don't know if you can see it. It's almost impossible to get this thing to load so you can see it with my shitty camera. You'd think somewhere under this they would say fiscal cliff is approaching. But they don't say it anywhere. And here's what the affairs from 2020. This is 12% more than that. So if they get no increased ridership and the fiscal cliff, and they get no increased ridership, this is the amount they're going to get $6 million more than before the fare increase. Okay, but there's no mention in here. You think like, the actions, you see, they have all these actions here. Objectives, actions. There's no mention of any of this. Nothing there. They do talk about how the fares are down, which, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Service hours. Yeah, see, they still have your service cut 20%, by the way, without a public hearing. They just did it. And now they're pretending. I just love the way they spinned all of this. It was beautiful propaganda. They cut all your service, and now what they're doing is they're marketing new frequent service lines. See, they cut all the frequent service, but they're marketing it as new. It's all a propaganda effort. It's all a bunch of baloney. Oh, I didn't see this little chart. No. But nowhere in here did I see any mention of any fiscal cliffs anywhere. Now, you would think this would be like on page 1. Fiscal cliff approaching, and we can show you where it is here. Fiscal 24 operating requirements are $817 million, but their budget's $1.9 billion. Where's the other $1.1 billion? Why is that not here? See, it says right here. The budget for 2024 is 1.917 billion, down 0.7% from last year. Oh God. Jesus. This fucking, oh, I can't.
Board, but it is like peeling an onion. And so I also know that until you need the information, you don't retain it. And so we've kind of stepped towards this, and we got really close to talking about a fare increase in the pandemic hit, and we backed off of that. But we knew, and I said then, we back off, it's going to have to be bigger in the future, because we're going to have to recover.
She's lying through her teeth. It's all lies.
What we didn't get by doing smaller increments over time. And so it's unfortunate, as when you've had 6 or 8 years in the role of being a board member, you'll have a deeper understanding and appreciation, hopefully, of the complexities of this organization, and understand that when staff tell us that there's a crucial need for additional resources, and that this is
when staff tell us there's a crucial need. When staff tells us something, we're expected to do it. That's what she said. She said this multiple times, over and over. This is not news.
Option that is in the strategic financial plan.
The strategic plan.
That it bears us as board to take that seriously and to act. More comments before I turn it over to Director or General Manager DeSue for next steps.
Linda, if I could jump in,
yeah.
I guess reflecting on your comments about kind of fares and length of tenure on the board, I do know that one principle that has motivated the board in the past is to try to simplify the fare system. And John mentioned, putting the youth fare in parity with.
They actually did decrease the transit-oriented development. They decreased it. It's amazing. See that? It was 3,115,000 in 2021, but it's decreased 400,000, which is a decrease, which is something else, man. Because usually they never decrease anything. I've looked through these budgets with a fine-tooth comb, and I didn't. Oh yeah, this was a good one. The engineering doubled, by the way. Engineering and construction doubled. Okay, just so you know. And then they break it all. It's actually pretty. You can really, if you have the time to look through this, you can really see. Look at policy planning. That stayed the same. Slightly lower. Good. So they didn't just raise everything. There were just some of them that they really put money into. Yeah. Major projects department went up double. Okay. I mean, you can't get through all this. Such a big document, man. But anyway, my point I was trying to make with all of this is that here's the pay scales for all of this. Look at that, man. Look at these. Can you see these? Look at the pay scales. See those pay scales? It's fucking amazing, man. They just fucking, they pay good over there, man. All right, let's not get distracted.
The other honored citizen fare, and I think that was part of it too, so that we didn't have lots of different fares and fare sort of systems, but to simplify as much as possible. So that's, as I recall, that's where a lot of the motivation.
Yeah, well, that was their cover for making the highest fare the only fare back in 2012. They eliminated the short hopper fares, which were 80 cents. They eliminated the 2-zone fare, which was $1.25, and they made everybody pay the highest fare available at the time, which was $2.50. I remember this. I was working there. I've been following this stuff for a long time, very closely. I know what I'm talking about. I've been following it longer than anybody on that board.
around a flat
Mm-hmm.
fare, and then 50% for those who have have some kind of mitigation or break with the fare. So anyway, just wanted to throw that in as well.
Yeah. And something else that strikes me is that in a recent
Thank God in 2 months we won't have to see Simmons anymore. I'm hoping Ozzy gets that job. Ozzy's he's very arrogant, but I like him. I like him. Okay, as far as board people, he's colorful. He's got colorful, and he's smart. He's a smart guy, fluent in 2 languages, which is always a mark of intelligence. And he's the next senior member there, so he's up. You're up, Ozzy, and I expect you to take that job.
board meeting, we've done away with cash machines, in certain places because of the vandalism that's been taking.
You lying piece of shit. You liar. That's not why you got rid of the cash machines at all. This
Place in it. So another reason why we really need to accelerate other forms of payment, since cash isn't an option in some of our stations.
Yeah, and that's a violation of your equity and inclusion. Right there, you violated your own Office of Equity and Inclusion by eliminating cash. Because the poorest people in the country do not have any credit cards or debit cards. They have no access to electronic means of paying. Therefore, that just proves that your whole inclusion and equity department is nothing but pork for pork's sake. It's a useless department that never should have been established, but they did it. And surprisingly, the establishment of that new department is the equivalent of what they're going to get from the fare increase.
Longer. Wasn't that on the east side somewhere? There were two.
Yeah, the green line.
That is correct.
Yeah, two is
On the east side on the green line.
Yeah.
Don't you know? Why don't you know what I know?
Director Way.
Why don't
Thank
you, have
you.
the-
As
why
I'm
don't
just
you
kind
at
of-
least have the same knowledge as somebody who's sitting at home who follows? Why do you not follow it? Why aren't you following this like I am? Don't you think you should be? You're on the board. Don't you think you should listen to the calls? Look at all the stuff I post from inside the agency, secret material. Don't you want to know that? Or is it just a bunch of hobbyists? We have a small hobby group going over there. It's like 6 to 10, something like that, of people that are interested in the material.
Kind of, again, reflecting on the increase proposal that's in front of us. I can't remember if in the last couple of...
Now, Kathy's always been very good to stand up for the rights of the disadvantaged, but she caves. She caves in, and I wish she wouldn't do it.
work sessions why, we also didn't talk about whether or not we want to just increase the adult 2.5-hour ticket, not touch any of the honored citizen or the youth or the paratransit single ride, and just solely focus on adult 2-hour ticket. I say that because if we do have a low-income program, then folks who are adults who would qualify under the low-income program could just enroll in that program. And then, again, folks who aren't low-income can just pay, right?
I like that idea. Leave the low-income HC alone. If you demand to do this, which you don't need to do, but if the banks are forcing your hand because they're blood-sucking leeches that they are, then just do it on the people that are paying full fare. The tourists and the rest of them, they can afford it.
For maybe a 60-cent increase, just hypothetically. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about that.
We didn't, and it doesn't. Although I acknowledge it, it's not what we're here to talk about today.
Oh, see? See how she shuts it down? See how she does the Warner move? We're going to shut down your talk. But you see, Kathy, you're a board member, and you can tell her to take a fucking hike. We're going to talk about this because I'm a board member, and I can talk about what I want.
This is the proposal that the staff have put together for us, and that might be another time, another day.
Shut up,
that's not
Simmons. No. Stand up to her, Kathy. Stop doing this. Stand up for your rights as a board member to talk about whatever you want.
Simmons, I could also
today.
just note too that the reason why, because we came forward with that amount, is because laid out in fair code as adopted by our board, it spells out that the honored citizen or fare is 50%. So any changes we make to the adult fare have to be made.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I read you the rule in the last episode. It says cannot be any more than 50%. Doesn't say anything about less than 50%. It says you cannot charge any more. See how they just lie? Everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. It's just like listening to Biden or who's the governor? I don't even know. I don't pay attention to politics because they're just liars, just like them.
To the youth and honored citizens.
It's
So
not
that's
right.
why you're seeing that.
Wrong, Vanetta, wrong. Okay, I read the thing. I read the rules. It said no more than 50%. Did not say restricted to 50%.
I think in terms of education, that's very important. And, I will also say that a lot of what we're seeing today, and I'm not faulting anybody, is because it's connected to other policies that are all connected to each other that maybe during my time on the board, I didn't make those policies. I never had a discussion. I never voted on it. So
Yes.
That's an excellent point, JC. And I also want to say,
Kathy, you stand up for yourself. Stop kowtowing to them. You're an equal member of this board. And they don't want to hear it? Too bad. Too bad for you. I'm on the board and I'm going to say what I want.
that's why it weighs heavier on me, right? Because I wasn't part of those decisions when they were made, when these fares were also connected to one another. So for example, if one thing increases, we have to also increase
No,
it.
you don't though. He's lying to you, okay? He's lying about that. That's not true. The federal guidelines say you cannot charge any more than 50%. Doesn't say you have to do that, but you're limited to 50%.
Another population, I wasn't a part of those conversations. So it's a little bit harder
And
for me.
stop apologizing to them. Make your points and don't apologize for you having ideas that I find acceptable and they don't.
To kind of grapple what is presented forward to me by previous board decisions.
Yeah.
Correct.
So seeing no other hands, I'm going to move to General Manager.
So the goddamn Simmons shut her down, and that's not the first time she's done that. I've seen that at least 3 times. That's the 3rd time she's done that to Kathy.
To Sue and ask him to go over the timeline and ramifications for the fair.
And there go the $250,000 a year hacks that who knows what they do. They go to meetings all day.
Increase.
There goes John.
Thanks, John. Presentation there. So, President,
I like Sam's. I like that he wears his name tag. I like that. I like that you do that, Sam. He's trying to be like, I'm just another employee type thing. I like that. And I bet you he's not egotistical. I bet you he's a pretty down-to-earth guy. But he's in his role as a technocrat here.
Simmons and board members, I've heard some questions that came up today.
I almost feel sorry for him. I don't think he has the mental agility to deal with all of this on his own.
That we will be following up. One about youth cost with our comparables. So we'll get that information. Also, ridership comparison between our comparables as well. We will definitely take a look at that and bring it back. And then the hop cart that is in English only, we're going to go back and verify and talk about the different languages that are taking place. So what I've heard today is a really good conversation and presentations made by staff. I am going to direct staff to assemble the formal fare increase ordinance, which will have a first reading and public hearing at the board's April 26th meeting. And then there will be a second reading and a vote that will take place on May 24th at the board meeting. The increases that are there is increase in both the adult 2.5 hour ticket.
Now let me read you this just so you know. 49 U.S. Code, Section 5307, subsection D, Part 1, Section D of the Federal Transit Act, federally subsidized transit providers may not charge more than half of the peak fare for fixed route transit during off-peak hours for seniors, people with disabilities, and Medicare cardholders. This is not an Americans with Disabilities Act requirement. Rather, this is a general condition placed upon those receiving federal funding for transit from the FDA. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about less than that. It says you cannot charge more than that. All right, so there you go. So they're lying as usual.
Ticket and Lyft paratransit single ride ticket by 30 cents to $2.80, and increasing the honored citizen 2.5 hour ticket and youth 2.5 hour ticket by 15 cents to $1.40. We will have this information and we will be ready to present to you at our next.
Yeah, and it's all going to pass, and it's all been a big stage show for nothing, pretending that they're actually. This is all a huge stage show that nobody needs. I mean, they could just do what they did when they cut the service 20%. They just did it. They just cut the service. They announced we're cutting the service. They could do that here, but they want to pretend there's like a process involved. It's all imaginary. It's like a Senate hearing. They have these hearings before the Senate. It's just a goddamn performance. It doesn't do anything. It's like a performance for the American people. Here, we're gonna call in Matt Taibbi. It's like a theatrical performance. Doesn't mean shit.
Board meeting. So I just want to verify through you and the board, President Simmons, before I have staff do this, is this what you want us to do?
Yeah, no. Say no. See how they're pretending? She just got through this female version of Klaus Schwab here. Just got through telling us how we have to trust the management. Trust the management. We have to go with what the management wants. And now he's saying to her, is this what you want to do? It's like this clown show. It's a clown show. It belongs in the clown world Twitter feed. Look at him. Look, did you see his Mussolini? He just did his Mussolini impression. Did you see that? Look, there he is. Watch closely. When he gets done speaking, he does like the Mussolini impression.
Yes, and I'm going to ask that in preparing the...
Yeah, well, notice how she answered, but didn't ask any other board members to vote or anything. It's just like, yes, I am the king. I am the queen, Klaus Schwab. And I'm telling you, yes, and I'm going to be gone at the exact same time we approve this. So we can pretend that this new board will be better, and it won't be. It'll be the same shit I've been watching since Pasador was president. That's how long I've been watching these things. As a matter of fact, me and Jason McHuff used to fucking film these things and put them on cable before there was the internet. We put them on cable and we did put them on the internet. They're all on Rose City Transit YouTube. All the old board meetings are over there before I had a YouTube.
Ordinance, revisions in the ordinance, that you include a statement that future boards must consider a fare increase every year, whether they enact it or not, but at least
So she wants to screw future generations too. That's how bad this is. She's trying to tell other boards what to do. And that's completely totalitarianism.
Indicated in my 6 years, this is the first
Go
time
away, Simmons. Get outta
that there's
here.
been a fare increase. And had I been more knowledgeable about the
you would have screwed the poor because you're not poor and you're not even taking Trimet. You're a disconnected elite running a transit system that you know nothing about. You are symptomatic of all the problems we have with our government.
implications of no fare increase to operating costs sooner, I would have raised more questions. And that's part of my own naivete. And I don't want to leave it to chance for future boards to not have that conversation prior to budget development every year.
Liar.
I'm not saying it needs to be invoked
You're a
every
liar.
year, but they need to.
Why don't you shut up and go away? You don't need to be telling other boards what to do. But see how they're trying to set up an automatic fare increase every year now? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to squeeze you every year. Meanwhile, DeSue's going to get $500,000 a year pay next year. Okay? You're being conned, people. This is a giant con job.
Understand the implications of either doing so.
The implications are nothing except for your credit rating agency.
Or not doing so, because there's a consequence
There's
regardless
no
of what
consequence.
decision you make.
Liar.
So I ask that on behalf of the full board. It's something I felt very strongly about throughout this whole process.
I hear you, and we'll make sure we add that.
No, you should not add that. No. You cannot have this board make future boards binding. No.
And we'll have that conversation each year at the budget presentations during the budget process.
Good. Thank you. And I want to thank all the board.
Yeah, she's just horrible. And they timed this perfectly for her to be gone and for this other hag here, Bauman, to be gone so they can introduce new faces to try to pretend that they care about you. And they never cared about you. They've never cared about you. And the one goddamn board member that did care about you, his name was Lynn Learback. They threw him off the board.
This is not an easy decision, as I said, from a personal standpoint as well as from a
You
business
don't give a shit, liar.
standpoint. I see it as essential, but it's not comfortable. And
Liar, you don't give a damn at all. You're an elite living in some fancy house in Lake Oswego.
I didn't expect anyone in the public to actually say that they would support it, because how many times, I mean, it's unusual for an agency to say, what do you think? You know, how many increases have we experienced personally? PGE didn't ask me.
It's got nothing to do with it. You've increased your sales tax. I mean, the payroll tax has gone up every fucking year, so this is disingenuous also. It's not like Trimet hasn't gotten more revenue. They've gotten all that CARES Act money. They get an increase in their payroll tax every year. So she's lying here again. How many places you go, you don't get an increase? Fuck you.
Me if I wanted to pay more. My water bill, they didn't ask me if I wanted to pay any more. And so we've at least given our public adequate notice.
No, you did not. You lied. You cheated. You misinformed. You propagandized. You presented false facts. You never explained why there's a fiscal cliff. You just used the word fiscal cliff. You never showed up. You didn't give us a goddamn little slideshow showing us exactly how we're going to get the fiscal cliff. Nothing. It's all been based on lie and propaganda.
And justification for what we're proposing that, quite frankly, I've never received from any other cost increase that I've incurred.
This is not the same as everything else, and you know it. Okay, this is not the same. Look at Wazzy. Look at him. Look at that stupid look on his face.
And so I want to acknowledge that. Just because we heard that people don't want to pay more doesn't mean that they don't understand the realities of running a business.
No, they know you're lying sacks of shit. That's what they know. They know you're lying about all of it. They understand it. You think people are all stupid?
And we don't just have the luxury of deciding where our revenue comes from. It's been designated.
Yeah, so hurt the poorest people just like the rest of the civilization is doing. Throw more people in the ditch, more and more people in the ditch. That's what's going on with all of these inflationary increases. The people on the bottom are the first to die, folks. And nobody cares in this society because this society is a society of selfish morons. As long as I got mine, who cares about yours?
By statute. So thank you very much. We're adjourned.
That's it. That's it. No comments, no nothing. That's it. That's it. No board comments. My God. What a joke! What a joke! Fucking joke! God. Let me keep looking here. Goddamn joke. They're pathetic. You know that? I can't. Look, man, I'm sorry, but this is really pathetic. I'm sorry for people that you're going to get screwed by these people. It's such a shame that you have to live with this rapacious oligarchy that's just going to eat us all alive a little bit at a time. It's just going to keep happening and happening. Ugh.